have a dopamine deficiency. I will do anything, even drink a slushie and wear a monkey costume.
Can we talk about that straw for a minute, though? What is going on with the straw?
I don't know.
It's like a candy cane, but it's like ginormous.
It's Cat in the Hat.
It
is
is
paper
ginormous.
or
Very
plastic?
Dr. Seuss.
Well, it's you know, why would someone like me go for a skinny straw that could only get a little
Fair.
bit when, I mean,
Fair.
we're talking about Kate deep throating a banana. I'm trying to get as much slush as possible.
Yeah, fair.
Suck it back.
Welcome to the Sober Curator podcast, where sobriety isn't just a lifestyle choice, it's the ultimate life hack. I'm Elise Bryson, your fearless guide to a world where hangovers are canceled, fun is mandatory, and we still know how to shut down a dance floor, just with better shoes.
And I'm Tamar Routley, aka T-Bouge, your co-pilot, chaos coordinator, and the one who keeps Elise from turning this podcast into a full-blown reality show. Buckle up, sober party people.
From lifestyle and travel to pop culture and zero-proof cocktails, we're serving up the stories, trends, and guests that prove sobriety isn't just about what you're missing. It's about finally remembering where you left your keys. Let's get the party started. Welcome to the Sober Curator podcast, where pop culture meets bananas and sober living with a side of bananas. That's right. I'm your host, Elise Bryson. And today, I don't know if you've noticed, things are about to go bananas. Literally. We're all dressed like bananas. I don't know why. At least something belongs in a smoothie. I don't know. This is the script. But if sobriety has taught us anything, it's that we don't need booze to go bananas, and that sobriety is obviously not boring. I am so excited to introduce you to my crew of bananas today. These are the Sober Curator contributors. They are the top bananas in the bunch. That's right, who are not only crushing the sober lifestyle, but also keeping things sweet, wild, and wonderfully weird and fruity. They have peeled back the layers of shame. That's right, they've peeled it back. They've slipped into sobriety, and they are now dishing out wisdom with just the right amount of potassium. So let's introduce. Yes, I know.
That was good.
Really should have read the
That
script
was
before
really
I started reading. Let's go ahead and introduce each person. Jason, thank you for coming to us live in your banana costume. We can't see the tip, but we're so glad you're here.
Like a furry unicorn. I'm like questioning every fucking choice I've ever made in my life right now. Just wondering why. I'm 54. I'm a professional with kids and a wife for now.
Just give us your man card.
Jesus Christ. Hate you.
Okay, and Jason, and what do you write, and who are you, and what do you do besides all of that?
I have no idea anymore. I'm Jason, and I don't know. Does it fucking matter?
Sober, not subtle.
Sober,
You're
not
sober,
subtle.
not
I
subtle.
run a website called Sober Not Subtle. It's a platform to help advocate for people with substance use disorder, mental health concerns, try to normalize the conversation around that. And I have a memoir coming out in September called "In Case of Emergency, Break Childhood." So look for that.
So good.
Can't be more embarrassing than this. So it's good practice. Jesus.
Thank you, Jason, for being
God.
here.
Yep.
Where you're the cat's bananas.
Always a pleasure.
Okay, Dr. Sarah, look at you. You're just bananas from head to toe. You feel very like pop culture art to me, which I really,
it's
you're
all
serving
Amazon.
it up. It's all Amazon. This episode is not sponsored by Amazon, but it could be.
You want to hear something?
How many people are
hilarious?
wearing something here from Amazon? Just a show of hands. Yeah. Yeah.
And you know what's wild? I was watching Jimmy Kimmel the other night, and he had this guest on that he was interviewing out in the parking lot, and the guy had this shirt on and a matching pair of pants, and he said he got them on Amazon. I know this is totally random, but it was so shocking to see the shirt on TV.
Are you gonna get the matching pants? Because I'm kind of here for that.
I don't know. That was an interesting thought, but the shirt is very cozy, and I love the hat.
And Dr. Sarah, like, can you tell us a little bit about more about you and what you write, what you do?
Yeah, I am Sarah Michaud. I'm a clinical psychologist, and I wrote a book called Code Crazy about codependency and addiction. And I have a little YouTube channel called Leaving Crazy Town about how to cope, survive in the world with your relationships, and hopefully do it in a more healthy way. And I write for the Sober Curator, and with the best group of wonderful, hilarious people. So that's why I'm here.
Let's head over to you, Megan. I am just really pleasantly surprised how you're keeping that whole stack of bananas on your head. It's almost like you're the one with perfect posture that does the book thing, but you're doing it with bananas.
Yeah, I think 15 years of yoga probably helps.
Is that it? You've just got really strong core muscles.
Yeah. I'm gonna fall unless I want.
I love that.
And as our resident wellness coach, could you give us a little insight onto why bananas are just so good for us?
Yeah. So I think everyone knows about the potassium bit. Great. After you've done a leg workout, a long walk, a hike, run a half marathon. But they also have a lot of vitamin C, so they're great for immunity. And they have B6, so energizing, and they're full of fiber. So 10% of your daily fiber intake, just one little banana.
Perfect.
Good to go, so to speak.
Okay, and if one eats banana Laffy Taffy, do they get the same health benefits?
No.
I was just asking.
Sorry, boss.
Okay.
They're my favorite.
All right.
I'm glad you clarified that.
Yes. Well, somebody was wondering somewhere for sure. Speaking of boss, let's talk about T. Bougie's ears, because that ear game she's bringing right now is strong.
They're pretty good. I'm hearing you.
Could you tell us what is going on with your head?
Well, I started sending balls out all over the world, and I've really just stepped into using them and rolling my face every time we record an episode. And it has, started to stimulate my skin to the degree where I'm growing hair now. And my ears had to expand to get through the hair. I did, however, not account for this mask, which I purchased on Amazon the day that we talked about Kate eating her bananas, which really, I think, spurred this conversation today, which I'm glad it did, because I've laughed a lot in the last 10 minutes. But I didn't account for how itchy it would be. And I really just want to scratch my face off, but I'm bananas for you guys, and I'm here for it.
You're dead.
Yeah.
You're a team player.
And Jason's tip.
Yeah. You're giving off
Jason's
serious
tip.
Chaka vibes right now from Land of the Lost.
Very.
Definitely. Serious
Really?
Chaka vibes. I'm digging it.
Yeah. I really kind of wish the only thing I could make that outfit better for our friends at home, not watching, but just listening, is if you had pierced the ears and put in some banana earrings.
Oh my God.
I really feel like that might have taken it to the next level.
There's still time.
There's still time. I got to go find a piercer.
Just go.
Something sharp.
Well, and last but not least, Kate, you're the reason we're here, because you're the one that started deep throating bananas on the internet just to get the likes on Instagram, and we're here for it. We're here for you.
This is so timely. Oh my God. So I'm Kate Vitella, not Axl Rose, although maybe, one never knows. Whatever will get likes, man. I am a sobriety coach. I contribute to the fashion column, not today, but to the fashion column for the Sober Curator. And gosh, what else? Oh, you've been selected. I feel like I've been all over the place with the Sober Curator, but the banana thing, I think this is really timely. So hang on for my personal therapy session, because I just realized that my personal Instagram account was attracting the wrong audience. I don't know if it was that I was deep throating bananas. But
Who would have thought?
But weird. What a weird.
Huh.
Oops.
Now that you've brought it to my attention, allow me to do a deep dive into the inner struggle that I've been going through lately. Wow. Jason, really?
You said deep dive. He thought deep throat and things
Oh,
inside.
I just-
Yeah.
It's just so obvious, but it,
I know.
I really, okay. So in between coaching, I take shifts at the local hospital, and I always feel like, okay, talk about feeling like you need to show up on the internet all the time, right? Hustling for likes. It was like, I was in this mode where like, I'm going to post a reel every single day, no matter what, show my business. And all I had in my car on my way to work was a banana. And it was just something that was sitting there at literally 5 a.m. sometimes before I started my 12-hour shift. And I'd be talking to the camera. And of course I point because I'm a know-it-all. And then, in the end, next thing you know, I just take a bite. And then I put a few of those on the internet. And then Jason was commenting like, I don't know, it's something funny. I can't remember. And then we all started talking about it. And I did realize, oh my gosh, I've actually done like 4 or 5 reels with a banana before I even realized like it was becoming a bit. But then I look back and I'm like, how fucking desperate are you? Like, so I've recently started a whole new Instagram, leaving my personal one behind because for whatever reason, I mean, I'm just too sexy.
It's,
Yeah,
you got to own your truth. You got to own your truth.
It could have, the personal Instagram thing got so ridiculous. Maybe it was my circa 3-month modeling career. We don't know. Maybe that went viral, right? I don't know. But I just know that in the hustle that I was in trying to grow my personal brand, I got way off track.
Yeah, it became more of an OnlyFans than
I was just gonna say
a recovery coaching business. There is a space for that.
You went too deep.
Yeah, seriously. Yeah.
I was just trying to peel back the layers.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you guys, I think this actually brings up a really good conversation. That's the
It's
things
so aggressive.
that we do. The things that we do as sober influencers, I'm really using that in air quotes because we're in a weird space, right? We are all very passionate about sobriety and recovery because we've had our own personal experience with probably brushes of death, right? Yeah. And we want other people to find the joy that we have obviously found. And there are a lot of people doing a lot of things on the internet to get attention. And it's really easy to fall into different traps and algorithms and TikTok tricks and lose sight of the course that we're on and what we started doing this for to begin with, right?
You read my mind, Elise, that you read my mind. And that this has been my headspace in the last few weeks. And I'm just, it's like I'm waking up to realizing how sucked in I've gotten to try to, I mean, I love a bit. Don't get me wrong. I love a bit. I love a costume. And it's not like all of it was that, but it just becomes so performative and so exhausting. And I'm like one step away from dancing on tables and pointing at shit. And so, I mean, we had to draw the line somewhere.
And I think we've all been guilty of this at some point. I get, when the memories come up in the time hops on Facebook or Instagram or whatever, and I see these videos of me dancing with a cocktail shaker in the pandemic, making mocktails. And let's be clear, you guys, I drink Diet Coke. I don't give 2 shits about mocktails, right? I don't even cook at home. Well, I'm definitely not making myself drinks. But the things I were doing, thank you, Jason, for representing. He just held up a Diet Coke can for those of you still listening and not watching on YouTube. Hello. But it's like, these are the things that it's super easy for us to do. And you know why? Because we're addicts. And if we get a little bit of attention, we want a lot of bit of attention, right?
Yep.
This is the core of who we are. And it's a really slippery banana.
Well, and there was times when I was brainstorming on things I wanted to talk about. And I do get really passionate because, all jokes aside, this is very serious. And I often don't feel like people take me serious enough. Like, this is a life or death thing here. We are not fucking around. And I try really hard to be funny and lighthearted talking about sobriety, but it's like at some point I'm pointing a banana at you because I'm like, I'm done joking. Like, people die. This isn't funny, you know? And so there was a bit of that in it, but I got lost in the sauce, man, in the pudding.
The Sober Curator space for me is like the center of the, what is it, Venn diagram? Is it with their two circles? Is that a Venn diagram? Yeah. Right. That's the center of that for me in my sober life, because I've always been a fucking, Kate says I love a good bit. My whole life has been a bit. Like between the stream and this dad blog I used to write, I've always loved performing. But now that I'm in the space that I'm in, the recovery space for work, there's not a lot of bits going on, right? Like I have a professional life and I want to keep it that way. And it's okay to be funny and lighthearted and bring humor. But then I have like my Twitch stream, which is this, literally a rack of costumes that I just wear constantly. And then there's this, which who would have known that I could talk about sobriety in the costume that I would wear and not show at my recovery space, right? So I don't know. I don't think I've ever really changed very much as far as like the silly behavior, but there is definitely part of me that does not want to go there in the serious recovery space. Like Kate was saying, like people die, right? So I have to be very careful. But that's why I love Sober Curator in general, because it really gives me an opportunity to bring sides of my personality out that might not be appropriate for over here. And if you don't like it when you're on this, you know, then you don't have to come to the site, right? Because this is weird. Like, look at us. Like it's freaking weird. Like no joke, like disturbingly weird, right? So that's not for everybody. That's not for everybody.
It's all the silly stuff that you may have done like at 3 a.m. in other scenarios. And it's like this safe place to be silly, where for decades, like the only place that I would let myself be this silly is, 12 to 15 drinks in.
That's a lot of
She was
drinks.
she was a lightweight, Jason. She was a lightweight.
12 to 15. Yeah. I was like, all right.
Yeah.
Banana martinis, obviously.
Cosmos, obviously.
Yeah.
Tamar, you've been listening very closely with those big ears. What do you have to say about the things we've already discussed here?
Well, first of all, I mean, the Sober Curator community, we have a lot of fun. And I think because there is so much life going on constantly that we have to have fun. And we have a group of people that are amazing from all over the world, literally all over the world. I remember when we had this conversation and we were joking around during one of the Sober Curator meetings with Kate about her deep throating bananas. And she was at that point where she's like, oh my God, like I gotta change something. And I've been sucked into it many times before, because we're so bombarded with what you should do to gain followers, to grow your business, but we actually need to simplify it a little bit. I think that is part of the problem, is we listen to everybody around us without actually just getting to, okay, how am I going to serve people? Right. And in recovery, that's what we're taught. That's how we stay sober, is that we serve other people, right? We show other people what we have done to stay here. And so I think when it comes to, our social media and growing, I mean, I think we can definitely, if we have this, persona, you have your style, you have your vibe. And if for Kate, that's deep throating bananas. Okay. But obviously it attracts people like Jason and who have to talk about the tip.
Not fair.
You're right there. I mean, I had to. You've been showing off your tip the whole time. And maybe, sorry, Jason, that's not her jam. You're not her jam. But my point is that we do want to get out, right? We do want to get the message out because we are so passionate about it. That's why I think it's very cool that we can sit here in a room like this and actually take an episode from something that Kate was like, okay, I can't do this. Like it was this realization like, oh crap, this is what I'm trying to do. But not only has she learned something, how she can now translate it better into her own business and her own social media, but we have had a really good time talking about it as well, and also incorporating a little bit of seriousness in the itchiness.
Well, and it's really about, I think this is a perfect demonstration of we show up for each other. And it's so easy to get caught up in the quantity that we can lose sight of the quality, and that we're not out there to reach the millions. We're out there to reach a couple of people, because if we save the life of a couple of people, like, that will have made it worth it. And the whole strategy behind the Sober Curator, we've never paid for advertising. We've never paid for likes. We've never paid for follows. We don't pay for keyword ad searches, right? We just focus on creating what we think is really good content that we all want to watch and we all want to read, because we couldn't find it somewhere else. And so this land of misfit toys all banded together in a way of attraction. We don't go out and recruit. We don't go out and find people that want to be contributors. The really sick and twisted people show up and say, I want what you guys are doing. And that's why we're a small group of less than 40 people creating content from all different genres that kind of work together. But it works, right? Because we show up for each other, and we show up when we all do stuff that's great. And we also show up when we're like, ooh, it's not working so well. What can we do as a group to help shift this, right? Because we're all making mistakes at full speed. That's what's happening here. And for the good of, we just want to get the message out there, because there are so many people dying, right? That's the bottom line.
I can tell you that as of, I don't know, it's been 5 days since I started to do Instagram. It's been the most liberating thing ever. I have maybe 100 and something followers, and that is perfectly okay with me. I don't care if my old Instagram burns to the ground. It's not important to me. I mean, I had to learn the hard way. Isn't that so me, to learn the hard way 8 million times? But I don't care if it burns. I don't care if, the oligarchy comes and takes it away. I'm just exhausted of the inappropriate feedback and messaging. And it's just gone so far not the way I wanted, that I'm so happy to have started. I thought I would never start a sober Instagram account. It's called Rewired Sober. And I put the word sober in there for a reason. It's like, follow me if you want this content.
But Kate, you were there. You were there when the Sober Curator Instagram got hacked back in 2021. We had just reached 10,000 followers, which felt like a big deal after a year and a half. And again, not paying for anything or doing anything other than just posting, not trying to play any algorithm hacks. And when it got hacked and held for ransom for $20,000, first I was like, hell yeah, I've arrived. And then I was like, fuck you, I'm not starting over. And then I stopped caring about social media. Like, we still post there because it will look weird if we don't. And people will question the integrity of the brand if we don't have a social platform. But we don't really care about it, because the real goodness is coming at the heart of the site and at the heart of the content, whether it's a written article or a podcast episode or a YouTube episode. That is where the good stuff is, because we own that content. We don't own an algorithm. We don't own anything on Instagram. That is, and once it posts, it's gone. But when we put our content out and we do all the SEO optimization on the back end, people are still coming to articles that posted 5 years ago, right? Because that's where the good content is. And those are the people we want to reach, are the people that are intentionally searching for something, not mindlessly scrolling.
Yeah.
I'll get off my banana soapbox. Sorry.
What does the doctor think?
I've had so many thoughts. I'm like totally oblivious to all the social media stuff, so I'm not a great person to comment on all that. I guess I was just thinking about balance, and that Jason's right and Kate's right, and we all know that this is such a killer illness, and we obviously all care a great deal about people getting sober and this disease and being serious about it. And at the same time, I think it is a balance with, you can be sober and you can have a great life and you can be vital and happy and extraordinary and have a ton of fun and still live a really, delightful life. And I think that's, with leaving Crazy Town, I mean, the reason we started the YouTube channel was Finn and I said, we really wanted to help people, but we also wanted to have a lot of fun. And if I hear the fucking word trauma one more time, on the internet, I'm going to kill somebody. It's like, I don't want to hear Gabor Mate anymore at 82 talking about his baby trauma. I just don't want to do it. You know what I mean? I'm like tired of like the 6 million, like really, I don't know. This is my own, it could be my age. It could be that I've been listening to, to trauma for 30 years, but I'm just kind of on this other end of wanting to focus on what works and what makes people lighten up and what brings people joy. And it's not that I don't want to hear people's pain, because I do that also, but I don't want to get stuck there. Do you know what I mean? So I think it's really important to still focus on a solution, and that you can own and identify like pain and tough times and still have fun and still be light. And so I don't know, that's kind of a rant, but
what the good doctor,
balance.
What the good doctor just said really resonates with me is, so again, we do talk a lot about sobriety, and we do talk a lot about, solutions and how to cope with things and how to do, but sometimes like when people are getting sober and they're just, because this is how I was, and they're just feeling uncomfortable in their own skin, just knowing that they're around sober people and not having to talk about being sober and just actually feeling normal again for like a fucking second is really important, So again, like talking about lifestyle or movies or Kate's fashion column, whatever, like some people just want to be like, I'm sober. I don't want to feel like an outcast anymore, because, and a lot of that is in our own brains sometimes, but people sometimes, again, it's about normalizing this conversation. So if we're just like hanging out in banana costumes and talking about, SEO or whatever, that's okay too. People know we're sober, and they know we can talk about like just regular shit. Like, so I agree. Like, it's not always, doesn't always have to be about like, what's your wellness plan? What's your recovery plan? How many meetings you going to? It could just be like, what's going on today? What movie did you see? Like, and that's important,
Yeah.
I also wanted to pivot for a second to one topic, and we can talk about this or not, but personally, the other thing that was really coming at me hard was realizing how challenging it feels as a woman to try to put your content out there on social media and not, and the amount of men that feel entitled to comment something about your looks when it's not even about your looks. You're not even talking about your looks. I'm doing the best I can to not even elaborate that, short of putting makeup on, which I'm allowed to do, and for a woman to, try to, try to promote herself. It felt so frustrating because it was the only thing I was getting was information about comments about my looks, comments about, am I single? Just DMs, and like people were getting aggressive. And I just thought, how unfair that I can't just be a woman and promote my business online without all this crap.
Can I, as a man, can I respond to that? Because, and
do.
not only as a man, but just someone who's been pretty involved in social media and just out there in general, there are a lot of people that think like, oh, she's hot or she's pretty, she doesn't have to do anything, she's going to get followers just because she's hot, I think that a lot of people are like resentful at that, so they make those stupid freaking comments. But you look at it like what you just said, it's actually like the opposite. It's like,
it's
do I have to cater to this audience? Do I have to watch everything I do? Can I be comfortable with my own sexuality without having to worry that I'm like, triggering somebody out there, like some man to like make some comment? I get it, but I think that, not like, for me, I understand it. Like, I have a lot of streamer friends that, they're good looking women, and then they can't fucking get through a stream without some idiot making some comment that has to get banned within 2 seconds. And I'm just like, I just want to watch her play Fortnite. You know what I mean? Because she's really good at fucking Fortnite. So I get it, but you're never going to stop that. And it's part of, and I'm just going to say it, but if you're going to put yourself out there as an entertainer, a streamer, a writer, a celebrity, that's what comes with the territory. So it can piss us off. But for me, there's always like a certain expectation that there's going to be some sort of, POS that's going to comment something, and it's okay. Like if I'm putting my shit out there, like I'm going to expect that somebody's not going to be nice, you know. But I do feel for the women that actually really do have. I mean, listen, there are women on Twitch that just do ass cams, you know, like literally that was a butthole cam was literally a thing on Twitch for a while, where the camera is just only on their ass. Like, so there are people that take advantage. Look at Amaranth. She's like a quadrillionaire now because of that. But, you know, and also some people fuck it up for other people.
For sure. And I've seen, we've joked about people in the sober space, women who have taken advantage of that. They put captions in their cleavage. So you're watching them. And of course you have to look there. You know, everything is backlit and just gross. It's gross. But it does ruin it for someone who is legitimately just trying. And I got so frustrated at the notion that I wasn't allowed to be both attractive and smart. I just got so frustrated with it. And I you know, it was all a personal thing too, but like, I felt like I was desperate to prove how smart and educated and capable I am. And yet I'm allowed to wear makeup and like, you know, dress up. Like you can be both. You are allowed as a woman to be both, you know, feminine and a feminist and attractive and smart as fuck. Like you're allowed to do that. There, I'm done.
Yes, you are, Kate. Yes, you are.
I can't stop looking at Tamar with the ears.
She's all ears.
Just nodding with the monkey ears. It's killing me.
It's also the hair coming out from underneath the hair that's also throwing me a little bit. If
I tried to hide it, but
so many
it keeps
things
coming out.
So many good things going on right now on the screen.
So many good things. Megan, you haven't said a lot.
I was just thinking, like, part of social media and the internet is how easy it is for people to make these comments. Like they would not make these comments to you in the store or in person.
Well, they might, but there's less of them. Like
there's way less of them. And I mean, I deal with it more from a parent's perspective of like trying to wait as long as possible for my children to have to deal with that, because it's the volume and the severity of what people say is just gotten so crazy. But I do think you have to develop, you know, boundaries, a thick skin, you know, your own approach and mindset around it, so that it's, you know, you don't take it.
Well, and looping this back to sobriety, I mean, and Dr. Sarah, you know, codependency, it's one of the gifts, many gifts about being in recovery is we're taught to work on our behaviors. We're taught to look at our behaviors and what are we doing and how do we change them. And I think, you know, a lot of people, the average person, I mean, I can't tell you how many of my friends have said, you know, talking about the 12 steps, like they've seen my experience, not just heard about my experience. They have watched me change as a result of doing work inside and outside of recovery. And they're like, everybody should do this stuff, right? Like, it doesn't matter who you are. We all have our stuff that we're addicted to or our behaviors that we continue to do. And, you know, that's why I mentioned codependency. I mean, I actually worked on codependency and I was thinking I'm not codependent, but oh yeah, like we all have a bit of that inside us, right? So it's, you know, in terms of behaviors and how people are responding on social media. I mean, I've watched some of those reality shows where you can see what happens behind the scenes on social media. I'm like, what is wrong with people? Is not everybody is taught to look at their behaviors,
right.
And how it affects others.
And I think it's funny that you said that, because when this first really got brought to my attention, which was about, I don't know, 3 or 4 months ago, when the messages started to border on harassment, you know, it was like my old sponsor came into my head of like, okay, Kate, what's your part in this? And my part in this is that I went through a phase where I thought I was going to be a model. I wanted to be a model. So I was putting out there, look at me, I'm so pretty content. Now that lasted for a short period of time, but in that time, I got a lot of crusty followers, right? Some basement dwelling, nasty men, lots of men. And so that's my part, is that I did that. I wanted that attention for a while. And there's kind of like no going back from it, I guess. I had to learn the hard way, but I certainly take ownership of my piece in it. And I think that's funny because I literally I envision my first sponsor being like, Kate, the problem's you.
I don't know you guys very well. Probably going to keep my distance a little bit. I think I know you enough. I don't need to go any further based on what's going on the screen right now. But tell me if you agree with this, okay? So as an addict, I'm a highly sensitive person. Maybe not all addicts are sensitive, but I'm a highly sensitive person. But I also love to be the center of attention, right?
Yeah.
So there's a part of me that is always wanting to put myself out there. And I love the adulation and I love the immediate gratification of comments and likes. And you're great and you're funny. And this is one person says you're a fucking idiot, my whole day is ruined. And I ruminate on that one comment for the next 3 weeks, questioning every choice I've ever made. Am I really funny? Should I not do this? And so it's weird. Like I'm in the wrong business, right? I'm in the business of like putting myself out there. I always have been, but yet it bothers me so much when I'm not liked or accepted by literally everybody. It's that whole, 1,000 people in a room say how much they love you. One person says they don't. And you're just huddled in the corner in the fetal position. So I don't know how you guys feel about that, or if that really has to do with being an addict, but
Someone commented. Someone commented on
Right.
my Instagram and I thought about it for like 3 days. And she said she ran into me at She Recovers in Miami and she tried to say hi, but apparently she put in quotes, "I didn't look the part, so you were very dismissive." And I ran that situation over in my head a million times thinking, God, who could that even be? And how could I have appeared dismissive? And yeah, so I totally hear that, Jason. Totally.
Well, and I just think that look at how we're rewarded. I mean, when you post something, we all go and look at how many views it got, how many likes it got, how many comments it got. Nobody posts something and then never looks at it again. And if you can say that you do, I call bullshit on that. Like you just don't, right? You just don't. So we now have those dopamine hits that come in on a very regular basis. And while we can't control the algorithm, like there's some things I post and I'm like, that got all the likes, right? Really? When this other thing that I'm like, this should be what it is. And it's like, no, we don't have any control over it, but we're all there for the likes. But what do? We can't get off of social media or none of us would be friends.
Yeah.
I wouldn't know one of you without social media. Not one of you would have come into my life without it. So how do we play in a space that is designed to kind of fuck us over?
I think headspace and motives play a big part of it, especially for me. So in my book, there's a whole chapter on when I was dad blogging, right? So I was in the throes of my addiction and my alcoholism, writing about what a fucking amazing dad I was and how cool I was as a dad and how I, raw and open and honest. But every time I got a like or a comment, like I was doing it because I needed to make myself feel better than I really did. Because at the end of the day, I'd look in the mirror and I felt like a piece of shit because I was like, I'm not as good of a dad and a husband as I say I am, So I was like depending on all those likes for that dopamine hit because I needed it, and then felt shitty at the end of the day because my motives were all wrong. But now with writing articles for Sober Curator or doing the Sober Not Subtle or even putting out the book, like my expectations are a little bit lower as far as like what I get feedback wise, but my motives are in a much better place. Like I'm putting it out there for a specific reason. I'm not putting it out there for a like, or I'm putting it out there because I'm helping people in recovery and I've been through it and I talk to people, I see people face to face, the pain, the happiness, the anguish, all that shit. But now I'm just doing it for a different reason. Dopamine feels nice, but like just feeling good about telling the fucking truth. Like finally, I think it sets me up a little bit better for when I get that maybe negative reaction. It'll make me feel bad, but it's not going to be the end of the world anymore because I'm going to be like, I'm telling the truth. You don't like it. Whereas back then I'll be like, well, maybe he's right. Maybe she's right. Maybe I am a fucking phony, or, piece of shit or whatever. So, I just think motives are a huge part of all of the headspace for me.
I just wanted to say about the codependency thing, because really I think about this a lot as far as social media, and really it's basically a paradigm for untreated codependency, because basically if you have a social media account, you're basing your self-esteem, you're putting your self-esteem in the hands of these total strangers, right? Because it depends, like, geez, if I get this many views or likes that day, then I'm okay. Or if I don't, I'm not okay. And it's like this very subtle thing around kind of not realizing that, like you were saying, Jason, the motive has to come when we do the Leaving Crazy Town thing. I remember we said this, that we really have to do it to make ourselves laugh. And literally, I can watch some of our videos and I'm hilarious. And I call Finn sometimes and I say, you know what? If nobody watches this, I am still getting a kick out of it. And it is coming from, like, I really want to be of service to people. And like you guys are saying, like, if it comes from a sincere, authentic place, I think then the attachment to what's happening in the outside world isn't as extreme. And I also know so much of social media is delusional. I mean, I hate Facebook and I post some stuff on Facebook, but I also see tons of people I personally know whose lives are insane, married to active alcoholics, being abused in a relationship, and they're posting these couples pictures in this fancy restaurant in Paris like their lives are, I mean, it's insane to me. Because I know personally what so many people's lives are about, and yet the delusion of what's happening out there is, to me, it's like living in crazy town. So I can't take any of that stuff seriously. And so is it nice if someone likes your video? Yeah, but does it mean anything? Like, to me, it's like bringing up that old Buddhism practice for years of, it doesn't mean anything. I mean, it's like that saying, like, if someone gets mad at me, it's about their own anger, right? It's the same if somebody likes me. If somebody likes me, it's just I've stirred up something in them that really has nothing to do with me. So none of it is personal, literally zero. You know, so it's really not taking any of it personally and doing it for your own entertainment and being of service, of course. But yeah, I mean, the country's codependent. Look about, you know, everybody's feelings are based on trying to control what someone else thinks, does, or says. It's like my happiness is based on what someone else is doing. It's a crazy world. All right, that's the end of that rant.
Sarah, I wanted to let you know I hear you
Oh, God.
loud and clear. But it is, right? It's the dopamine hit. It makes sense.
Same.
I actually had to delete Facebook and Instagram off my phone.
Right.
Because during the day, there was times where I'm like, oh, I wonder what my friends are doing. I wonder what's going on in the world. And so I've really been mindful about where I put my attention. I
Yes.
can't, I mean, I will go off, ask my wife, I will go off on a tangent if I see something on social media that I don't agree with, but I'm not going to make a comment on because I don't want to get involved and I don't want to put myself in the middle of something
Right.
I have no control over. But
Right.
as someone in recovery, like I have a dopamine deficiency, I will do anything, even drink a slushie and wear a monkey costume.
Can we talk about that straw for a minute, though? What is going on with the straw? It's
I don't
like
know.
it's like a candy cane, but it's like ginormous.
It's
Yeah.
Cat in the
It is-
Hat.
It's
Is it
paper
ginormous?
or
very
plastic?
Dr.
Yeah.
Seuss. I don't,
Well, it's-
yeah.
Why would someone like me go for a skinny straw that could only get a little
fair,
bit when, I mean,
fair.
we're talking about Kate deep throating a banana. I'm trying to get as much slush as possible.
Yeah, fair.
Suck it back.
Well, as we start to wind this bunch down, do we have any closing thoughts on what we've heard today? And maybe could each of you chime in on like something that you might do different in the next week based off the conversation today?
I mean,
Jason, we'll start with you.
Yeah, I was just going to say that, like, when the person I was when I was active and the person that I am now that I'm not are two very, very different people. And social media and putting myself out there is a huge part of that. Like, I remember when I got sober, it was like I was looking at a different person, and I was so angry and so ashamed of the person that I portrayed myself to be that I needed to disappear from social media. I disappeared from my dad blog. I disappeared because I didn't even want to hear myself talk anymore. I was like, you were such an asshole, such a like how so like now like I check myself. Like I have my Sober Not Subtle socials. Like I hardly post on my personal Instagram or Facebook unless it's about Sober Not Subtle, because I check myself. Like I'm very careful. Like I don't even want to put a picture of myself or my family most of the time. I do it just to like keep it going, because I don't know, and maybe I'm too hard on myself, you know, maybe I shouldn't be afraid to do it, but there's still a part of me that's like, it's not about you, you know? So a lot of the times I just don't post anything about me. And again, I don't know if that's right or if that's wrong, but it's still definitely, you know, left over from when I first got sober and how I felt about myself. So, you know.
Yeah, I'm going to jump on that train too, because I'm actually so glad we recorded this, because this is exactly where my headspace has been about, you know, reconfiguring social media and like realizing it's not about me. Nobody needs to see 8,000 pictures of my face. Yes, I love to capture my outfits because I love fashion, and that can go on my personal page. But when it comes to my business, it's how am I serving? How am I adding value? Do people really need to see my face? I mean, it just to put a face with a name. But yeah, I've been doing a lot of thinking and praying about this whole topic before we sat down today. So this just couldn't be more timely. And it never hurts to sit with friends who will be honest. I mean, kind, you know, we're joking, but you guys are honest with me, and you'll always call me out. And I just appreciate that. And I wasn't deep throating a banana. I mean,
Several.
Yeah, no, there's evidence, Kate.
Did you
There's
take those
actually-
down?
Yeah, it's literally on the internet.
no, they're there. And you know what's even funnier is if anybody wants to come at me like I think I'm so perfect, I'm in the parking lot of a psychiatric facility doing this, okay? I mean, come on now.
Does that make it less attractive? I don't know. What I'm going to do differently is go back. I'm just so much more content when I abide by my 20-minute timer on Instagram. And lately I've been like telling it to F off and scrolling longer. And it's really not that big a shift. There's a big difference in your mental state of affairs from 1 hour a day to 15, 20 minutes a day, where it's, you know, very intentional. So that's what I'm going to go back to doing. And I highly recommend that you mash bananas into your pancakes before you.
Delicious.
Yes.
That's
yeah.
good.
Banana
my
cream
favorite.
pie too is delicious.
I hear that.
Mm.
I hear that.
I love
You know, what I took out of this was many things, but you know, when I'm actually tomorrow, I will be in this journey for 13 years, which still
Very
actually
nice.
completely blows my mind.
That's bananas. That's
It
bananas.
is bananas, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you hear it, right, Elise?
I hear it.
So, but back then, I needed any like alcohol to do anything or to do this kind of stuff. And I've actually, as I've gotten to know myself over the last 13 years, I love to make people laugh. Like nothing brings me more joy than showing up as myself, being goofy and putting a smile on someone's face. Because I mean, I've been through a lot of, I'm sure we all have been through a lot of hard stuff throughout our sobriety journey, and we have to deal with it now. We can't just numb everything out. I mean, we could eat a pint of ice cream, which will numb your mouth and potentially your brain, but you know, we don't have that option anymore to go and use a substance to numb all that stuff out. And so what I got from it today is like, other than my face is incredibly itchy and I can hear all of you really well, is that I can actually show up as myself now and do these kind of things and not feel embarrassed. I don't need liquid courage to do this stuff or to say silly things, because I know I can just be me. And that's how I want to show up. And that's why I don't use social media as much anymore, because I don't need to. I can just this fills my cup up.
Yeah, and we're going to remember these laughs.
Right? Exactly.
Dr. Sarah, take us out.
No, I was just thinking about that saying, you know, comparison kills joy. And I think that's another thing with social media, and it's so hilarious. I'm going to admit to you guys, I just did like this extended 10th step. You know, I don't know if everybody knows what that is, but where you're writing out resentments and fears and your sexual history. And I had so many fucking resentments toward podcasters around these experts that know something about addiction. And I was like reading them to my sponsor. And it was so harsh because she's like, what's the selfishness? What do you want? I go, I just don't want them talking about things. And she's, oh no, what do you want? Well, I guess I'd like to be acknowledged, you know, and I'm like, well, you know, when you like get to the truth about something, you know, when you get to the truth and you're like, you know, you're like, you don't even want to say it. And she's like, you want to be on Oprah. You want to be acknowledged and all that. And I'm like, no, but it's like, it's like, I want to heal all that stuff. And I don't want to be pissed off at different people on the internet. I want to just own my part, do my thing. And I don't, you know, I got to reduce. I don't watch a ton of stuff, but I can't go down that rabbit hole. So I try to clean up that stuff because I don't want to be preoccupied with Mel Robbins and the Let Them book, which took me out for about a week. You know what I mean? Find your joy.
Sarah, that was so freaking amazing. I freaking love that you just said all that. I love that.
And yeah, we've got another episode coming on Let Them. Well, before we split, let's go into some sober shots. I'm going to ask each of you a question, and you have to pick one of the answers. Do not make up your own answer. That is breaking the rules. Here we go. Jason, sober drink of choice, banana smoothie with oat milk or citrusy LaCroix with ice and a side of banana?
The second one.
Okay, thank you. Dr. Sarah, sober superpower, juggling bananas in the kitchen or delivering truth bombs with zero shame?
I would say the truth bombs, I have to say.
I would say too. Megan, this is appropriate for you. Your throwback anthem, Holla Back Girl, This Is Bananas, or the peanut butter jelly song?
Holler back, girl.
Thank you very much.
You're a holla back
and
girl.
Tamar, hopefully you can hear me. What is your musical mood today? Are you Harry Styles in a gold yellow Gucci suit or smooth Jack Johnson banana pancake kind of vibe?
Oh, I think Harry Styles today for sure.
Okay. Mm-hmm. And saving the last for not the least, my favorite, Kate, I would love to hear your sober style flex. Are you a banana costume chic with a statement earring or vintage Carmen Miranda with a fruit bowl of realness?
Ooh, definitely in my vintage era. I got to go with that one.
I think so. I think you're definitely in your vintage era. Well, if you haven't noticed, things are always ripe over at the Sober Curator with sober inspiration. And yes, all banana content is welcome. Thanks for swinging by this episode for a bunch of laughs. We talked sobriety, snacks, and we slipped into a little moment of joy. And we didn't need a single drop of alcohol to do it. So that's all the time we have. As we like to say at the Sober Curator, getting sober matters, but going bananas matters more. Thanks for tuning in. My name's Elise Bryson, and until next time, keep it fun, keep it real, and keep it banana sober. Thanks for tuning in, because let's be real, we're way more fun than your ex's drunk texts.
If you laughed, learned, or just need more of our voices in your life, honestly, I mean, who wouldn't? Hit that subscribe button, leave us a review, and send this episode to your sober or your I swear I'm only drinking on the weekends besties.
And if you have a story, feedback, or hey, maybe you just want to slide into our DMs like it's 2012, well, you know we're here for it. Find more curated magic at thesobercurator.com. And remember, getting sober matters, staying sober matters more. Until next time, keep it real, keep it fun, and keep it sober.